Fantasy Mania 2. The War on Valademkin City. Chapter 40. Once Zibalio had seen the city from afar. He yelled out the words, "It's time to put our shields up!" cries. Soon everyone far in the sky had activated their newest ability to put a force field up to protect them. Then Arden had seen them in the distance and yelled out, "Let's get ready and aim." All the soldiers, officials and anyone else willing to defend the city was ready. The tension was high and much at stake. Soon both civilizations were close and every single gun, cannon and net was fired at the same time. It was like there would possibly be no way any of the cries could possibly survive. But the force fields were strong enough to block everything they had to offer. Then the cries swooped down over the city of Valademkin and began their attack. Arden and the others didn't know how they came through without being affected by their weapons. Soon Zibalio had lowered down his shield and began shooting balls of fire at every direction. Innocent people had been struck dead several at a time. Lucifant had noticed they couldn't use their shields and attack with fire at the same time and told as many people as he could. Eiffel heard what Lucifant had said and ran into the city to fire his power pack when the opportunity was right. Rhinopolis had smashed through several elevator tubes to prevent anyone from hiding. Zibalio then looked down at the city and knew all kinds of hell was going to be unleashed. He flew up into the air and swooped down towards Ziboris and collided, sending Ziboris into a brick wall. Zibalio was about to finish off Ziboris, but Lucifant had taken his sword and sent it directly into Zibalio's side. He fell to one knee looking at the blade in front of him. He then stood up and turned around. Zibalio looked into Lucifant's eyes and told him it would take much more than a sword to kill him. He then jabbed Lucifant in the face and then kicked him into the chest. Zibalio took his hand and pulled out the sword and broke it in two. He then began walking towards Lucifant. Then Eiffel noticed that Zibalio had his shield down and pulled out a hyper beam cannon and pulled the trigger. Zibalio heard the blast and once he turned around, he was hit directly in the chest, sending Zibalio through a building. Rhinopolis was fighting off many soldiers and was doing very well. But then Arden showed up with an old-school gun known as the rifle. He saw him, pointed it at him and quickly pulled up his shield. "Damn it," said Arden. He then ran around some broken walls and came to Lucifant's aid. He picked him up and asked if he was okay. He nodded and they soon tag-teamed several of the cries as they went through the city. Several had tried to attack Zibalio, but none was successful yet. Eiffel told Ziboris to try and distract Rhinopolis if he could. Soon he did as he was asked and climbed up on the nearest bridge. He then began yelling out Rhinopolis' name. Once Rhinopolis was finished with the officials, he turned around and by his surprise, he was hit by a lightning strike from Eiffel's power pack. Then honestly stunned him so badly that he actually couldn't move. Soon Zibalio blasted through the building and came back to kill Ziboris. But unfortunately for Lucifant, he had ran out in front of Zibalio and was hit with a powerful blow, knocking the air directly out of his chest. Lucifant's entire body smashed against a vehicle that had hovered by and fell onto the ground. He could barely move. Arden quickly ran at Zibalio, releasing several rounds of ammo. But his force field was too thick. Several of the cries were pretty smart. Some had blown many of the machines that launched powerful beams. And some flew through windows, causing glass to fall on many people below. How will this war escalate? Find out later on in Fantasy Mania 2. The War on Valademkin City. To be continued.